third place in the Atlantic Division. Is there a reason for panic in Leafland or what?
Leafs are closer to they're closer to missing the playoffs than they are to catching Tampa Bay.
In terms of points.
In terms of points. So what I'm seeing concerns me in this way, that if the Leafs were to compete without physical contact and without any kind of on ice battles, I think they'd be front runner the cup or to compete for a cup. As constructed, we've been saying this a while. I've been saying this last week, the week before, and I've been saying this months ago. As constructed, this roster's not winning those Stanley Cups. Not this year, not next year. You can't win with Ron Hainsey playing 20 minutes and Zaitsev, and you can't win if this is as hard as contact as you're going to have on the ice. Unless the game's changed to the point in time where checking's outlawed, this club can't win. It's a great club to watch. It's a fantasy club. It's a club.
Okay.
Can't win.
My take on this is this. Okay, William Nylander just rejoined this Maple Leafs team. You've got a Maple Leafs team, first of all, that was one of the top 5 teams in the NHL last year. They added a piece like John Tavares, and now they've got a team that is terrific. William Nylander just joined the squad, a squad that was second in the NHL in terms of wins when Nylander joined the team. It's going to take him a little while to find his way. It's going to take a little time for this team to gel. But in today's NHL, speed wins. Speed kills. This is a team that comes at you in waves after line after line. Give this team a little while to gel. We don't know if grit is going to be a factor or grit even matters in today's game.
Maybe it doesn't matter, but no matter if hockey's played today, tomorrow, 50 years ago, or 50 years from now, there's always an emotional element to the game. There's always a component that requires a physical play, and with the Leafs as constructed, it's a one-dimensional team. It's a pretty dimension. It's talent up and down the roster. There's speed, but that's like me telling you, Joe, that you can win a Miss Universe contest just packing your bikini. It takes a lot more than that, my friend. You cannot win in a one-dimensional way, and let alone the dimension up front.
You've never seen me in a bikini.
Holy God forbid. The point of the matter is that this club, as constructed right now, cannot win a Stanley Cup. Frankly, I'll tell you the truth. We got a better chance here to win a Juno for this podcast than the Leafs do to win a Stanley Cup. No chance in hell. No way, no how. Ron Hainsey's playing 20 minutes a game. Ron Hainsey and Zaitsev are killing penalties. They're your shutdown defensemen, and you expect to win a Stanley Cup? It cannot happen.
This is a puck moving team. Okay, they've got a defense that can move pucks. Hainsey and Zaitsev aren't necessarily your number one guys. Okay, let's face it. Morgan Riley is the best defender.
And who does Riley play with?
Yeah,
the game.
Well, okay, but Hainsey's job is to back up Riley when he makes those rushes, when he moves that puck. That's Hainsey's job. He can do that job. He's done the job before. I mean, maybe there's room for this team to make a move or two down the stretch. I trust Kyle Dubas and I trust First of all, I trust Mike Babcock to decide what this team needs in terms of additions down the stretch, and I do trust Kyle Dubas as a guy who can give Babcock what he needs if he feels he needs something. But what I need to see is don't give this team 3 games. Give this team 25 games. Let's see, like William Nylander has just come back. The team was flying before he came back, and there's no reason to think they won't fly once he returns. Okay, so you say Tampa Bay. Maybe they're the best team in the league, okay? What happens when the Leafs go into Tampa Bay? They give the Lightning all they can handle. The only thing that bails out the Lightning on that night is a fantastic goaltending performance by Andrei Vasilevsky. And he basically stole that game. The Leafs outshot them like 49-25. It was so one-sided. It was ridiculous.
The most important in any sport, especially hockey, there's the most important elements in hockey are time and space. How you create time and space, and you take it away from the opposition. The Leafs create space and time through one means and one means only, and that's their skating game. That's the town game. They create no space, no time in any other way. It's a one-dimensional club. The question you ask yourselves, Leaf fans, is can you win
Well, what dimension do you want? You want a team that can score.
Here's the dimension that I want. Here's the dimension that I want. Every now and then, especially management, you have to predict the future before you see it. Management, what happens during the playoffs? Time and space. Space is limited. Time is limited in playoff time. There's not as much ice. You see the Leafs when they play, and there's no ice, and
Sure.
they skate with they skate in the mud.
There isn't as much time. Okay.
Okay, so here's the point. You got to win sometimes a different way. You cannot win one way. You got to win a different way. Sometimes you got to win. You got to muck.
Yeah, but you got to look at this team. This team is incredibly creative. This team has a way to find openings. This team has a way to create offense that no other team has.
I wouldn't go that far. The point of the matter, ask yourself, in today's hockey, can you win a Stanley Cup without a physical element to your game? Can you win with Par Lindholm? Hold on. With all due respect to Par Lindholm, I love the guy. I don't know the guy. I barely see him. I catch him I don't know. They call his name once a game. I'd rather have Shanahan from the press box at the age of 50, ankle burning, throwing an elbow, coming out there, creating a little space, keeping people accountable. We saw a couple weeks ago, Matthews down, injured. Your start, and you know what we had? A bunch of guys sitting like this. Holy shit, I hope he's okay. Nobody going to rub a glove. Nobody going to do nothing. Without that physical element as a component, you can't win.
They did get called out on that, and you saw a couple games later when Zach Hyman,
I also
was throwing his weight around.
Yeah, I also not only saw Zach Hyman.
Yeah,
we got some added information there. Sorry to disrupt the podcast. Zach Hyman, beautiful. So Zach Hyman all of a sudden is our pugilist, and Hainsey with his dukes up. I don't know what the hell that guy was doing there. I lost my mind.
Well,
becomes our de facto enforcer. The club has constructed, it's beautiful. If you run a fantasy team, man, number one, let me say this to all Leaf fans out there, that talent trumps, pardon the pun, talent trumps. We have what is difficult to ascertain, what is difficult to get. We have the core, but without adding pieces on the periphery. Wayne Cromwell on the back, where are you?
We've been throwing the Wayne Simmons name.
Without putting some pieces. Role players, man. I don't want fourth line goalie. I want him to hold the puck out of the net. I want him to.
In today's game, you can't afford to have a guy who's just going to go out there and throw his weight around, throw his body around, take penalties, slash people. Make people pay for hits. In today, to let hits happen. And you have to let it go, and you have to move on, and you have to play your game.
Okay, you got to let hits happen. Okay, the guy in Calgary gets run over. Forget his name. What happens? 5, 6 players. You don't think the players look around? You don't think the players in that room realize that there's an element?
Got players now who have some grit. You've got Nazem Kadri, and you've got Zach Hyman. You've got some guys who can play the game.
All right, you got some guys that can play. You Leaf fans out there, you tell me if I'm an idiot. When's the last time Kadri even rubbed up against somebody? If Kadri's not hitting out there, I don't need Kadri to be pretty, Joe. I got Tavares to be pretty. I got Matthews to be pretty. I got Wee Willie with the hair flowing to be pretty.
Okay.
I need guys that are not pretty. And if you can't find me some of those guys, when the ice is limited, to make a little space, if you think you're going to have a Stanley Cup coming up in June, man, I got another thing coming for you, because there's no chance in hell that Ron Hainsey is going to play 20 minutes a game and he's going to pass the cup to Par Lindholm. It's not happening today, tomorrow, next month, next year. And unless Dubas and Shanahan are smart enough to see that the game hasn't changed that much. It has not changed to the point in time where you can.
Changed.
It has changed, but not to the point in time.
The clutch and grab is gone. You need freewheeling hockey. The Leafs have freewheeling hockey like no other team has it. They got 4 lines that can come at you in waves and beat you up. Give them a chance. Give them 3 or 4, at least 3 or 4 more games. Once now that Willie's back, and just see what happens in terms of chemistry here.
This is not a matter of chemistry. This is not a matter of. This is not a matter of talent. This is a matter of how you create a collection of human beings, hockey players, to fill specific roles on a club. I don't need 12 painters. I don't need 9 pretty boys. I don't need every guy on my team to put the puck in the net. I need some guys to keep the puck out of the net. I need some guys to go into a corner. I need some guys to fight. I need a little bit of grit, a little bit, man. I'm not talking about a pugilist. I'm not trying to bring the I'm not trying to bring Domi out of retirement. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But without a physical component to buy you a little bit of time and space, this club, as constructed, cannot win. I'm sure Dubas and Shanahan kind of know it, and now's the best time to make a move to cure what it is that's missing, because we got plenty already here.
You know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing like you're panicking, and I'm seeing other people panic. I'm seeing like, you know, they lose a few games, but you know, look at these games. Okay, they obviously should have won the game in Tampa if it wasn't for Vasilevsky. They probably should have won the game in Florida. Now listen, it's a power play that hasn't been as good recently, but once, you know, they work Willie in there, give him a little more, you know, add a little more pizzazz to that power play. Like the chemistry will happen. You know, they're going to start to know each other better. They're going to figure out Babcock's going to figure out who he wants to play with who on this power play. They're going to start. Right now, I'm seeing the puck bouncing off their sticks on the power play. I'm seeing it bounce all over the place. They're not making the precision passes they were earlier. It's going to happen, and when it does, this is a team that is going to kill you. So if you think this is a pretty team that can't play, watch them, because what's going to happen is you're going to taking runs at them, and they're going to, and then when the Leafs get on the power play, they are going to kill you.
Okay, all right. So I'll grant you the point. All right. So we're going to draw penalties, you say, through our skating and through finesse and through the talent that we have, and we're going to make people play on the power play, right? That's basically what you're telling me. All right. So explain this to me. Even a couple of you pinheads out there, explain this to me. How come the Leafs, given the talent they have, are near the bottom, if not the bottom of the league in drawing penalties? If you've got all this talent, you should be on the power play 5-6 times a game. How come you're last in the penalties? What, is it a conspiracy? The refs are against you? What is it? Because hold on. No, you're hold on. Penalties are drawn when emotion is created in the game. Penalties are won as retaliations. Penalties are won when the other guy gets angry and he gets off his game. Look at the Florida game, for example. We had little wee Ennis there run the Florida defenseman.
Which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm getting at. So if he's running a defenseman, what does the defenseman do? He's in his mind, he's angry. He comes back, cross-checks him once, cross-checks him twice, 4 minutes in the box. That's how you draw penalties. You don't draw penalties.
And that's when Nazem Kadri is at the top of the game. That's what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Right now, he's not at the top of his game. I don't know what's going on with Nazem, but he's just not playing well right now. You know he's going to. This is an 82-game schedule. All these guys aren't going to be. All these guys aren't going to be on the peak of their game all the time.
Without a doubt, we understand that peak of the game or regardless, the game, the roster as it is needs an addition. It needs a couple additions, especially on the back end, and with any club. You see Vasilevsky stands on his head, wins the game. Anderson needs to stand on his head for us to win the majority of the time.
Once in a while, he does that, right?
You take a Leaf fans, you take a look back at I don't know, we got wins 22. Anderson was first, second, or third star. I guarantee, and I don't even know, I'm not a stats guy. In about 15 of those games, I saw him throwing his stick over the boards to the kids as one of the stars. Anderson doesn't play, we don't win. Anderson doesn't bail out Hainsey, Zaitsev, and the rest of the gang, we don't win. Anderson doesn't play in the third period against Boston. We don't win. That's a lot of pressure to put on one goalie and one guy. You need to help him out defensively.
Every goalie has
but not to this point. Not the way we rely on Freddie. We rely
on certain. We rely on Freddie, just like the Bulls relied on Vasilevsky the other night. Because if they don't have Vasilevsky playing like he did, they lose that game. At least I shot him 49 to whatever, and they hit 4 goal posts. Okay, I mean. Vasilevsky was great, but they also hit 4 goal
No, without a doubt, we're not. I'm not out here telling Leaf Nation, Leaf fans that you guys are chopped liver, you guys got no shot, no this, that. The product is there, the talent is there, but you need to add some pieces on the periphery to make the unit come together. It's like putting 5 beautiful jump shooters in basketball. You can't win like that. You need somebody to rebound the ball, man. Right. It's like you need if you're a football guy, you can't play 5 wide. Every now and then you need a fullback, man. Every now and then you need a tight end to block. You can't play a one-dimensional game in any sport and expect that dimension to far supersede other clubs and to be able to win. If you can't see that, am I blind?
You may be right. The Leafs may have to make an addition or two down the stretch. But what I'm saying is, right now, they need to do is just to see what they've got, give this team a little time to gel with Willie back in the lineup, see what kind of chemistry they have, see what their needs are, and I trust Babcock and Dubas to identify what those needs are, and you know, they got cap room. There's no reason why they can't add something down the stretch, and that's what I think they're going to do.
Only time will tell.
All right, only time will tell. By the way, this segment has been brought to you by the Taxperts. If you need help with personal and corporate tax filings, if you're being reviewed through the Canada Revenue Agency audit and appeal decisions, Taxperts Group is the best firm in Toronto. 2 lawyers, 3 CPAs. Call Taxperts at 416-493-0444 or go to the website at taxpertsgroup.ca. Ladies, if you have any opinions on the Leafs, shoot them over there. We'd love to hear. Or the Raptors, because that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go into basketball here at the Snug. And we're going to talk about the Raptors. Oh, we can't help you with tickets, sorry. We're going to talk about the Raptors now. Raptors coming off a 4-game road trip out west. You know, a couple of those games, they looked fantastic. You know, beating the Golden State Warriors, you know, who were at full strength. Raptors without, I think Lowry missed that game. You know, and of course, Jonas Valanciunas got hurt in that game. But, you know, I think this is a team that is looking pretty darn good. You know what I'm saying? Last night, you know, they lost in Denver, the final stop on that trip. You know, which is now the best team in the West, and that was without 5 starters, or 5 top players, not 5 starters.
Suffice it to say that this year, the bar's a little higher. We go out west, we play Golden State, we play the Clippers, play Denver, play, who else are we missing there?
Portland.
Yeah. Go out west and you come back 2-2 and you're disappointed.
Yeah.
That tells you where we're at as a franchise,
Right.
tells you where we're at as an organization. More specifically, if you watch the game, Raptor fans, you realize a couple of things. Number one, how vital Valanciunas is to the club. He goes out, man. You see the difference in how opponents attack us. You see the difference in Ibaka, how important Lowry is, how important Van Fleet is, and the difference again. We're talking about the Leafs earlier. The difference is between the two clubs. The Raptors, in a variety of ways. Raptors can move the ball. Raptors can play in the half court. Raptors can rebound. Raptors got versatility. They got different dimensions. When healthy, it's a championship level club with all the pieces. Maybe, you know what? The only thing that I see from my end that they can add is maybe an upgrade on CJ Miles if he doesn't come around. Other than that,
I don't see a lot of flaws in this. And, you know, one of the reasons, like you mentioned earlier, Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka has been unbelievable. Like, a lot of people thought he was done.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
And look at this guy playing now. And Jonas Valanciunas, I mean, he's the real deal, too. I mean, you know, they're going to be without him for 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 weeks with that.
Not an issue. Not an issue. Not an issue. First of all, the NBA. Regardless of if we play 2-3 men short, there's 40, 50 games in the NBA that's cupcakes. No matter what roster we field, those are W's. So that's not an issue. Wins and losses is not an issue for the Raptors. They're gonna get 50.
The Nets.
You're gonna get 55 with your eyes closed, no matter who. Even if you suited up me, you get 55, right? But the point of the matter is what you do come playoff time, right? And the way the roster is constructed, you might get with these guys out today, you might get a piece. You might be able to work in a piece like DeLon Wright, maybe contribute down the road. Maybe even this kid Boucher gets a couple minutes on the floor.
He played last night. He played last night. Yeah.
So injuries and the Raptors at this point in time, nothing's troubling me. Everything's fine moving forward. Again, the question is does the roster need one a small addition? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Depends what you got to give. Like I saw.
But maybe you don't need a small addition if Nick Nurse gets his way, right?
Yeah.
Nick Nurse is not happy with the officiating.
No.
Kawhi Leonard is getting manhandled out there and not getting the calls. Not getting the kind of calls that, say, most stars in the NBA get. Kevin Durant is getting these calls. Okay. Yeah. LeBron James is getting these calls. Steph Curry, he's going to get these calls. These guys, are going to get these calls. Why isn't Kawhi Leonard getting these calls?
I'll tell you why. What's the common denominator in the 4 guys you mentioned? They cry foul when they get out of bed in the morning, man.
Right.
They think somebody fouled them. I don't know if you breathe on the guy. LeBron, if sweat drops off the defender and it lands on LeBron's knees, I guess. Pardon my French. I guess the only way you can get calls in the NBA is to be a bitch, to complain on every play. You see Leonard, class, never says nothing. goes about the next play, never gets no calls. What does the guy have to do to get a call? Does he have to get in your face, ref? Does he have to make a scene? Why can't you reward a guy?
Because he doesn't, you know.
Society at large doesn't like guys that are quiet, doesn't like business-like approaches. They like guys that are flamboyant. They like guys that are complaining. They like guys, me guys. They don't like guys that put their head down like Kawhi and get the job. That's why I applaud Nurse for taking the rap for Kawhi, because you know Kawhi will never say nothing. I applaud Nurse for taking the fine for calling these refs out. It's about time you respect this guy and don't make him into a bitch. Don't make him into a crybaby to get calls. Give him what he deserves, because he is on par with any other guys you just mentioned, right?
Speaking of Nurse, what do you think about the difference between this year's team and last year's team? What do you think the addition of Nurse has meant to that team?
The addition for Nurse, number one, it's still evolving. But the way he's deployed Valanciunas and Ibaka, and the way he's got the most out of them, Valanciunas hurt, but the way he's got the most out of those two. You talked about Ibaka earlier, man. I wanted to sell Ibaka for trade Ibaka. I don't know. I had him for dead, man. I had him one foot in the grave, man, before this year, right?
Greg Monroe is going to get more time, eh?
Right? Absolutely. So the point of the matter is he's deployed his assets, and the club is still getting to know each other. How many of these podcasts we've done? A couple, right? Right? We're getting to know each other. How I can feed you, how you can feed me, where the thought is, where the ball is, where your comfort zone is. What do you think's any different?
And the magic is happening.
It's happening. What do you think the difference is with Lowry, with Leonard, with all these guys getting to know each other, man? So once you get to know each other, we're going to find out who you are come playoff time. And you know what, man? Not that the Greek goes in his pocket and bets, man. But if I had a last couple bucks, man, and I wanted to parlay it, man, I'd give the Raptors a legitimate shot. Not to make the NBA Finals, but to bring Toronto a championship, because Lord knows, man, Leafs aren't going.
I think there was a real good indicator when they went into Oakland, and knocked off the Warriors without Kyle Lowry.
No, that was without Kawhi.
Without Kawhi Leonard. Yes, exactly. Sorry, without Kawhi Leonard, their best player. Yeah. And then they didn't have Lowry last night in Portland.
Here's the adjustment. If you watch Raptors basketball, that when Kawhi's not playing, right? When Kawhi's not playing, the ball never stops. The ball never stops. You watch the Golden State game. There's continuous movement on both ends of the floor. We have a tendency, when you have a superstar, you have a tendency to hand him the ball, and you know what? Be a spectator. Wait for him to make a move. So Raptors got to learn, and this comes with time, how you continue the movement, how you continue pushing the ball, how you continue playing at a certain pace. Because the minute Kawhi comes in, that pace slows down. You see him at the top of the key.
I think they're still like 7-1 or 8-1 without.
So what am I telling you? Get rid of them? Absolutely not. The point of the matter is they play a beautiful style of ball, and they need to incorporate Kawhi into that style of ball. I don't want Kawhi scoring 30, 32, 35 points. I want Kawhi scoring 20 points, keep the ball moving. Every time you see him go for 30, 35, 36, number one, game is close. Number two comes down to 3-4 possessions in the fourth quarter. When this team moves the ball and plays at their pace, there's not a team in the league that can beat them, period.
I like it. Period. I like it. This team is definitely a championship caliber team. I believe they're going to win the NBA championship this year, and you may doubt me, but I really think they're the best team. Okay, this segment has been brought to you by Wealth Realized Financial Services. Visit Mike Hopkins at wealthrealized.ca. Mike's a good guy. We like Mike. Love these cards too, aren't they fun?
Yeah.
Okay, now the next we're going to move to the NFL. An interesting weekend, an interesting season, really. What do you see? What do you see as the biggest surprises in this NFL season so far? First of all, on a positive.
On a positive, they don't call it any. What's the terminology, man? Because I'm a little confused. Any given Sunday, there you go. It's any given Sunday. Anybody can beat anybody. So surprises.
For sure. Yeah.
My biggest surprise as a longtime football guy is finally watching the Brownies compete a little bit. Watching them go into Denver, watching the QB flourish, watching that squad and bringing a little bit of luster to a city that's a great football town. But
it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense when you've got. First round pick after first round pick after first round pick. Sooner or later, it's got to come together. It's like the Oilers; they were so bad for so long. Yeah. Now they're finally starting to show some potential, and they're finally starting to get it together. It's going to happen if you give these guys first round pick. It's got to turn around sooner or later. It's nice to see that it finally is. But yeah, I mean,
that's a surprise for me. And also I'm looking at too what clubs exceeded my expectations coming in, and I got to look at the Bears. I got to look at
Oh, yeah.
Trubisky. I
Wow.
got to look at that defense. I got to look at the way they're playing. They're playing football, and at this point in time, I would suffice to say that you can make a case that the Bears are the best team in the NFC. You can make that case. The only problem is that to get through the NFC, you got to go into by the looks of it, you got to go into New Orleans and beat Breeze in the Dome. It's one thing to beat them when it's -20 outside, weather conditions, sloppy field. It's another to beat them in that dome, right? And I don't see anybody in the NFC East. In the NFC period, going into New Orleans and
Rams
and
are
beating
a
the
strong
same
team. I mean,
No.
the Rams are a strong team.
Rams give the appearance of a strong team. Give the appearance of a strong team, but they're as
You don't get to be 11.
no, you don't get to
being a good team.
you don't get to be but I'm talking a championship level team, right? Rams are a fraud. Rams can't stop a run. Rams are depleted, but obviously by injuries. Wide receivers down, can't move the ball like they want. And the minute you take Goff off his spot, you saw what happened last night with the Eagles, right? I think the Rams are.
Well, the Eagles play. The Eagles are finally. Well, the Eagles are so bloody inconsistent. I mean, you know, for a defending champion team, they're not. You know, they're lucky if they make the playoffs.
Not only this, but you got to understand that any check to repeat number one's not easy. First of all, in football, you win a championship, you play the hardest schedule the year after. That's how they run things over there. But number two, when your season's on the line and you never, as my buddy, man, Rudy T said once upon a time, you never dealt the heart of a champion, right? And the Eagles are playing for their football lives. So they played for their football lives last night and came out big.
Yeah.
Came out big, right? So
Speaking
again,
of playing for the football lives, I mean, you got the Cowboys who were on cruise control, like 5 or 6 wins in a row, and then what happens? I mean,
here's what happens.
they get shut
Here's
out.
what happens. I'm gonna break
For the
my
first time in 15 years.
I'm gonna break my anonymity. I'm a Cowboy fan from Danny White, Too Tall Jones, Randy White, you name it. Here's the deal: you win 5 in a row. You win an emotional game against the Eagles. You've practically clinched the division unless you collapse in a way that will be unfortunate, right? You come from this, and then you go to play a game. You're pretty well established. You're gonna be the 4th seed no matter what. You go to play a game in Indy against a hungry Indy team. Doesn't go your way. Few too nervous. Nothing to worry about. You go from highs to lows. Sports is not only about matchups and personnel. It's about emotion. It's just about as much up here as it is on the field, man. The Cowboys were way up here. 5 wins in a row. They got to the place. NFC East is wrapped up, and they say, you know what? Cash a game check, pack it in, you know, and they give credit to the Colts too, right? Give credit to the Colts. They're playing beautiful football, and frankly, when's the last time you've seen a Colts with a defense? Colts forever used to be an offensive show with a suspect defense. Shout out any team, let alone the Cowboys. Shows a lot in terms of where they're going and be very scary if they happen to squeeze in at 8-6, happen to have to move forward and catch a wild card.
Patriots are not the team they were. You know what? And to be honest with you, I'm not sad about that. I'm not sad that the Patriots are finally starting to have their day.
You know what? I don't know unless you're a Patriot guy, and I'm not.
Yeah.
It's
hard to be a Patriots fan.
I don't know. I feel kind of sad when I see old Belichick there with the hoodie and that look.
Yeah.
Next question. On to next week. Bill, what did you think about that lateral play that cost you the game?
Good.
We're preparing for next week. Could you have done anything? Next week. I say, you know what, buddy, man? Next week, okay. Point of the matter is, it's a great franchise, but with everything that's great, man, it's coming to an end. This is well, it's obvious the decline of Gronkowski. He can't handle all the injuries he's had. He's invisible out there. Used to be a beast. Now he's a mouse. Brady's not getting no younger. Belichick is Belichick. So the point of the matter, any great franchise, it can't last. Believe that, prove me wrong, but this is the beginning of the end. I don't see.
Brady was hoping to be the first player
to 25, whatever the case is, right? But at this point in time, it looks like the Patriot run has. Come to an end.
I think so. I don't think they're going anywhere this way. Okay, this segment is brought to you by Toronto's real estate guy, Aldo, at Remax Crossroads. Call 416-GET-ALDO and tell them you saw the Billy show and you're going to be okay. Now, our final segment, we're going to do a little bit of a pick, the NFL Monday night game. features the New Orleans Saints at 11-2 at the Carolina Panthers, who are 6-7. By the way, this segment is brought to you by Toronto investment advisor Graham Kirkland. Visit argoseykirkland.com. Now the pick here is 6 points. The Saints are favored by 6 points in Carolina. I mean, you got two pretty awesome quarterbacks in this game, Drew Brees and Cam Newton. But the rumor is that Cam is maybe under the weather a little bit.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. You know how the Greek feels about his adult beverages and his gambling, man. I stay away from everything, but for one day, maybe if I hit this one right, I'll come out of retirement and come back next Monday.
No, don't bet.
Here's what I'm thinking, man. Let me educate you guys out there on how to properly attack a Monday night game or any football game in general, man. Understand, listen to me and you'll understand what I'm getting at. When the Greek walks into the mall, he takes a look around and he finds a nice shirt, right? And he looks at it and he says, you know what? I'll put a line in my head, a price. And I put it no higher than $99.99. It's a beautiful shirt,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
oh, yeah, well worth it.
Well worth it. So when the Greek went in, after I flipped the price tag and I see $69.99, ooh, shit, that's a lock. So before you make a bet on any football game, set your own line. Set your own line. If you know, like, I don't know, anything about football, if you've done this before, set your own line. Make your line, make it fair, make it reasonable. Once you make the line, if the points outweigh the line, for example, tonight I was sitting in the car with Joe earlier, and he asked me, I don't follow gambling. I would have set the line today at New Orleans -8.5. That's what my 30 years of wasted my money aimlessly has told me, right? All right. So set the line at 8.5, and I ask myself one question: is Carolina fighting for their life tonight? Or
Like the Eagles were last night.
Yes, sir. Is Carolina fighting for their life, or are they already dead? I don't know. What do you think? There's your line. And you know what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to tell you that Cam Newton's got pride. The Kuechly, Rivera, they're under fire. They came into this year expected to do great things. They got a game at home. So you know what? This is their season. So if you put money wherever, you know the money you're going to put, they're going to want to win more than you, right? This is a do or die game. So in a do or die game, man, I'm always going to give a shot to Cam. So lay the points, a little Christmas stocking stuffer for you, courtesy of the Greek.
All right, there you have it. You know what, folks? That's all the time we've got for the Tilley and Billy show. I'm Joe the Swiss Tilley.
And I'm Billy the Greek. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week.